yeah, we made the Superbooth. And in the end, I'm happy that after day one, yesterday, day two, everything went perfect. Day one was the thing we had to stand. So I don't know if I've been here already when we had the hard rain.
Yes.
And we had not so much guests anyway, and some people didn't find this, didn't find that, and then we had that rain, and then we had an interrupted live stream, so all channels were disrupting, and it was a bit like Scheiße. And then I had a talk with Jan Thiersen, who was the headliner, and he said, no, I don't want to move it indoors, let's keep it outdoors because we planned it and the PA is great. And I said, okay, good, and we will search some tents, and we installed some tents as what we found. And then it started hard raining when he was on stage and we, as the team, took everybody who's available, here's the umbrellas, spread them, just spread them. And already in the morning I always said, it will be raining because we have 500 umbrellas to sell, and as long as we didn't sell these ones, the rain won't stop, as a funny story making it easier. But yeah, then it rained, and then we just decided out of the house. And then that was such a great day and such a great evening because all 300 people was going with their umbrellas into the park for the very last concert at the Finnhütten, where there was another techno act performing. And when I arrived, the rain has stopped, and everybody was dancing in the middle of the forest. And the concept was visible as it should have been for the first time. So the people moved through the park from here to the Bungalowdorf, to the Fuchsbau, and they meet in the walkway. And if you have place enough, it's easy to keep the distance, and it's easy to hold the hygienic standards that we have to hold, and we don't know how long. You know, the concept was written for an event in May 21 already, because sure, we was nervous after not making a trade show in 20, and in 21 we could have made this concept already in May, but we didn't want to because the people from Netherlands, France, England, and they couldn't come because it was shut down, and we had to expect to be just with the Germans, and that's not enough because we are Europe and we are European and we want to be European and we want to stay European, and so we have to make it for the European at least. And now we are very happy that we also could welcome some Americans. And in the beginning I thought, oh Scheiße, if the Americans and English people now are the dangerous thing in Corona regards, it could be kind of bad. But then I saw the Moog people was flying over to check the tent, and I said, hey, you just came here? It was easy? Yes, we were vaccinated and we could just fly. I said, okay, then the others could do the same. Yes. And then we went further. Yeah. And you know, now we unfortunately had to recognize that the people didn't understand the ticket system. It was too complicated, and that was, you know, we can explain and we can explain it again, but we can change. You know, the thing was that we had to limit the people in the building. Inside the building, there should only be 500 people at once. And if we only sell 500 tickets per day, and we didn't want to sell inside tickets and outside tickets because then you don't have the mix up, and a trade show works with people mixing up with each other. So we have to walk around and say, oh, ach, who are you? Blah, blah, blah. And you have to talk to, I don't know where he is, and then you walk around and see this and that. Day two went technically better, and then I was sure, you know, I was watching the weather shit. I never do such, but this time it was the first week in my life where I watched online, how's the weather? You know, normally I look out of the house and that's it, you know.
Yeah,
why? Yeah. Why? You see the weather if you open the window, and you can change anyway. So yeah, but then day two said me, it's okay, it's dry now. You know, it was the feeling of we made the proof. We survived. There was still people going to that concert. It was raining like hell, and they was taking the umbrellas, and they was all smiling. And all the exhibitors were smiling because before the event started, before the installation phase, we was forcing them to say, no, Mook, you take the tent. Yeah, that's expensive, but you take it because it's exactly that what you will need. A tent, okay. And the others also, in the tent, in the huts, in the forest, that's too far away. Nobody wanted to be at the DIY zone at the Fuchsbau. In the end, now they understood the idea with Paul Tasch and others there. It's the only thing with all locations, 500 people at once are not enough. So we need 1,000, 2,000 people, and we could also place 2,000 visitors in the outer things. And if we add the fourth location that we already planned for next year, we can be even more. And then we have the numbers. And now we have the pictures and the impressions and the opinions and the experiences to follow the concept to do a trade show, not in a hall anymore, but go a step further, having place for everybody, 2 meters in between this stand and that stand. You can listen to everything. You can hear all instruments in real, and you know, with speakers even. You don't disturb nobody because they're all, and this was wonderful. And then also the kids thing. That's another topic. I just go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
The kids workshops. We wanted to make them even more important because in the beginning my partner say, oh, we have to take care for money because you know, the auditorium, the wooden thing indoors, is the most expensive room in the building, definitely. So they wanted to skip it, and I said, I don't want, you know, it's the core of it. Having 500 people sitting in front of the stage, yeah, but there can only be 100 people because of these new regulations and the concept. I said, okay, but there can be 100 people, you know, we can have 100 people in there. So let's collect these 100 people and make presentations, make events. And in the end now I found the foundation. The Miller-Tilmer Foundation was the sponsor. We never had sponsors, we always did everything on our own. We also nearly never was asking for help from the government because we thought, hey, it's a business. It must be a business to survive and it must be a business to grow. So let's make it on this concept. And this is the only thing I know how to handle it. And I don't like to stand, and then you have to follow this regulation and fulfill that form. It's not mine. And what we already planned for 2 years was a visit on the Holy Grail Guitar Show that used to happen in Berlin for 5 years. That was in the Estrell Center, and that was initiated by a number of guitar builders, the European Guitar Builders Club, and they was tired of making once a year their trade show, so they wanted to interrupt. And then we said, hey, we could take over because this was a chance to have a second quality trade show in small with another theme to establish from being just the synth nerds to being a competent trade show club maker, you know, and that was the idea. And this will be realized now for the first time in May. That's the plan, where we already booked 2 weeks behind each other, because then it's all much easier, because we have the installations once, we have all the tents and the cabling and the stages and the staff and the security, you know, you have it all for a period of nearly 2 weeks. And this is more a big camp, and then you have 1 weekend for the guitar players and 1 weekend for the synth nerds. And the mix up where some exhibitors say, I would like to stay over the whole time because could make sense. So we have to design that somehow and say this makes sense, that does not make sense, because definitely it's visible for the experienced visitor. We collect the companies that fit together and try our best to set them up in a combination that they are charmant with each other, and that you enter a room with an atmosphere where they meet each other and where they like each other and where they respect each other. And this is even more important with the guitar players, who could be loud. I think. Yeah. But they just have other attitudes, and to learn more about that, we already have a room with 3 to 4 guitar companies that was from around, that we invited to be here, and we invited also plenty of other manufacturers to have a look for this, to understand what the concept is, different to Guitar Summit or Musikmesse, to let them understand how this could be and to teach us what to plan, what to make better, and where the problems could be. That's where we are.
Great.
The date is already fixed. The Super Grey date is released. The Superbooth date we did not release because we was all a bit unsure. We definitely was not sure enough and safe to say beforehand, yes, the next one will happen there, because we was all a bit tired also from 2.5 years making nothing, and also from the situation of not really knowing if this will be a success or not. And in the end, if you see this was definitely no success. To let you know it carefully, but in the end I see it as an educational step on the way to do a real trade show out of this basic thing that we planted.
Yeah. And is it your full-time job now, would you say that?
Yes.
To be busy with Superbooth?
Definitely. At the time that was now half a year full-time job, and then I have a part-time job in Schneider's Laden still, where I'm still the CEO. And Schneider's Laden was going very well, but Schneider's Laden was going very well because we just went ahead with saying, if people call in and if they send an email, help them. And we agreed that repair comes before throwing away, buying something new. So we set up our repair station with 2 people, and we now have a 3rd one, but we don't have place to expand the repair station because with all that crisis in the world that they don't get spare parts anymore, it has several positions from where you can see it. In the first view, as a human being, I say it's good to see the respect increasing with the prices in regards of don't throw it away, this can be repaired, and this is fine. This is enough for lots of things, and the people think about twice if they invest in another better VCO if they have already one. And also the old stuff is not thrown away or forgotten in a box. It's you know, it's higher capital, and I like the idea to have higher respect, even if then we are going back to synthesizer is a hobby for the rich. But that's another piece of paper, because I never thought synthesizer should be a hobby for the rich, and I always thought it must be explained in a way that everybody can afford it in a certain way. And this is why we make all these kids thing and these workshops there, where I say, hey, buy simple things and let the people understand that this electricity is in the end just a cable and a battery, and you can do plenty of things with it that can be creative. And you know, for low money you can find a wonderful set and an installation where you can impress your dear people and a bigger audience also. And that's what we have to educate here. And soldering your own things gives you basics, sure. It's not the proper education, but in Germany there is no education. There is no Radio- und Fernsehtechniker anymore, you know. We can't find people who are educated in repairing, understanding a circuitry and say, okay, where's the mistake? Why doesn't it work? There's just the vision of, yeah, you can do everything with a computer. And what about the computers? You throw them away and buy a new one. What is this? Scheiße. Totale Scheiße. We have to interrupt that, and the only way to interrupt it is to change things and to do it better. And I hope that there's a next generation growing up and say, fuck the computer to throw away, I build my own one, or I build my own tools that I need from basic things or from crap or from the litter. This is, I think this is currently happening in Africa. That's why I'm interested in what's going on up there with, you know, the only visible thing is this African modular, what was that? He now set an inquiry to the foundation to be supported. Afro rack. And something like that, you know. I have had a live chat with a friend in Vietnam yesterday who was complaining, hey, where's your product? What are you doing there? You know, we went to school and he's living in Ho Chi Minh Stadt in South Vietnam, Saigon. And he said, yeah, I'm in the middle of the music scene here, but I never see, and I said, yeah, they're probably not, is there electronic musicians? And then he said, I'm in several studios, they're using this and that, and he described these desktop units, but yeah, okay. So there is something. And then I found out that there is also a Vietnamese guy who's producing modules. But he moved now to Montreal. So yesterday we had a live chat with the Vietnamese living in Montreal and the German living in Vietnam, both on the screen, talking about music and sounds and the situation in Vietnam, and then about his product he will offer soon from Montreal now.
Are synthesizers your hobby too? Because you mentioned
More, to be honest, I'm old enough to come from the band thing. When I was young I had to play in a band and I had to play synthesizer because we needed a bass, and we had a synthesizer in the rehearsal room from the other band. I was the organ player, and then there was a Moog Prodigy, and the Moog Prodigy was my live thing. And in the studio where we then went, because it sounded like we were on the right way, I had to use a Mini Moog. And before that I had a cheap Casio thing as the bass, and it was kind of punk trash, the whole thing, with the organ totally distorted always, and the Casio giving a bad bass and a shitty drum. And then we went to a studio where there was old jazz grandfathers who had everything, and they said, no, you have to do it this way. And then they took over and they made us a mix who's just boring, you know. And still I like the composition with the Prodigy making but you know, we made it for 20 years, and I think making music is an interaction with, you know, I have to see in the eyes of somebody and say, hey, wow, I like that. And you know, with just looking into the eyes, you can communicate, go faster, go slower, silent, give mehr Gas, ne? Gib mehr Stoff. And
it's interesting,
so,
because it's a very much more a traditional way of making music than you see over here in most places.
But I think the interaction also happens in my beginning years with all this stuff. I had a promotional suitcase where I had the X-Bass, a few Technosaurus synth, a cheap mixer, and a shitty defective reverb unit that Monoleg wanted to throw away, where I said I can use it. And then I had a suitcase that used to be an organ. It had a handle, and I could just take the suitcase, put it somewhere, open it up. There was Schneider's bureau letters on it, and a hole to look through that hole and to see the units that I'm using. And then I had a cable for cinch and one cable for jack, and I said what's possible, and took it somewhere into bars, into pubs, on events, and pushed start. And that was music that I later understood as that what they called minimal. Okay, it was experience. It was an experience. And even there, when I played somewhere, you interact with the people standing in front of you. Yeah, you know, and they ask, you don't have records in there? No, you don't go ahead talking. You just say, hey, bring me a joint, go away, or whatever, and get another drink, and then perhaps I tell you something. But you always interact with the people and looking what's going on. Are they dancing? Are they Körpersprache? You see if they like it or not, and then you change your interaction. Yeah. But to do that with a musician is the highest culture from my point of view, and to do that with with the experience, the more experienced they are, the more they look up to you. And that's why I think you can't make music with a computer, because you have to look to the monitor. That's why I always said you need hardware tools, because you need monofunctional controls, always. And that's why you need good controls to say, Jaco is performing today with a dancer. And I always, for at least, I don't know, Maisy from France, from Paris, that's Mark and Emmanuel. They used to be them both. And Mark is now making EOWave, and the beginnings of EOWave was also the sensor system, where they said, we have a little system where you can plug things, and then you can buy distance sensors and movement sensors and whatever. And in France, it went well, and he gave it to me to please sell it in Germany. Nobody was taking it. Nobody was respecting it. Nobody was understanding it. And then I understood the possibility. I think I had 1 or 2 clients who in the end made something with that, but it was very support intensive. You know, you had to explain to people how to set it up, and then they need to have a Mac because the inventor had a Mac, and then it didn't work with PC, and then my sales guys was, this is annoying, and then they didn't even recommend it anymore for a while. But this was always French, and they was going further and further with that, and there was several, and now 10 years later I think it's established with Comas, with the data machines stuff, and now people understand what this was. But unfortunately the connection to the Frenchies is disconnected, because they was those who was starting this already 10 years ago, and they was much more into performance, and there was in those early days already things on techno concerts where there was dancers with stroboscope and playing things and controlling things. And this happens today with Yako Yako on the Seaside stage, by the way. She's bringing a dancer, and they are using again something new. I don't know if that's French again, I forgot the name of it. So a system where also Schneider TM, who played yesterday on the Seaside stage, said, yeah, we have a dancer on stage because, and he should be connected, what can I do? I said, go to the shop, ask Yako Yako, and she will explain it to you, because she's using it anyway. So things fit together, and it seems like that, for a while we were seeing elderly gentlemen looking into their laptop on stage, playing with a mouse and listening to music, and you didn't really know if the connection is there or if they answer their email or what they do. And then people was complaining about, it's such a laptop grandfather, we don't have to go there. And then they bought stuff again, and they installed modular system. And since then they are standing in front of the table because and then they're turning knobs and pushing cable, and you still don't know what they do. But and now I think it's time, and people force these actors slowly to give us a little bit more action, please. And we want to see what you do, and we want to understand what you do. And I think the time has come that then this dancer now is connected to her own sound, and because I know this act.
I think.
Let's wait the train. He's looking like, let's wait the train. Long train running. Was a title, no?
Yeah.
What was there?
I think, nowadays the performances play a much bigger part than in the beginning of the Superbooth.
Exactly, yeah, sure. Yeah. And there's plenty of guitar players without even forcing to have guitars. It just happens.
Yeah.
I think it's getting nearer with each other, because a guitar is an easy to use. I have it hanging. Probably also these hang around keyboards will come back. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just told you the whole story.
Yeah,